Red Script Studio presents Episode 3 of Living Vicariously The Trauma That Binds, Part 1. Warning: this episode of Living Vicariously contains mature subject matter, profanity, and could be triggering to some individuals. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome back to Living Vicariously. In today's episode, we are raising awareness about domestic violence. And to help raise awareness, we have a special guest today, trauma survivor and domestic violence advocate Emily Montgomery. We'll be giving her a call and she'll be sharing her experiences and then her resources and support systems that helped her cope through her difficult times. So just one moment and I'll get her on the air. Hi, Emily.
Hi,
Hi, Emily. How you doing today?
good, you?
Not too bad, thanks. All right. So thanks for coming on and talking about your experiences. So what motivated you to contact me to talk about them?
Not everybody that seems to be like where they were 4 years ago or however long ago was there. And they're like in a new place now. To like let people know that there are supports and a lot of community involvement places that are there to support you.
Oh, that's perfect. So now you mentioned when we were talking about addiction. Now, how did that become a part of your life?
So addiction became a part of my life. I don't know, like in high school, it was just like the people I was hanging around and just like it was the thing to do at the time.
And at what point did you stop and seek help?
I stopped in 20 June of 2020 because I realized it was the either I stop or I die. There was no in between.
And who helped you in your recovery? What was your first step?
My first step was actually I called my best friend and the situation I was in with the domestic violence and all of that. I told her I needed to get out, and she get out, and that also helped me get sober. And I realized that I needed to get sober and to get out of the situation I was in to not only progress my life but help my kids as well.
Right, and that's completely understandable. And I'm glad you were able to get out of that situation to help your kids. And when you say domestic violence, I know this is a very hard topic for anybody to talk about, especially anybody who's been in your situation. Now, if you're able to, would you be comfortable sharing what kind of situation it was for you back then? What was your day to day that led you into believing that it was getting into a domestic situation? And then how did it progress?
Um, so it had always been a rocky relationship. There was always arguments. And then we started using together. Um, and then it got to the point where um, the only way out I thought I had was to end my own life. Um, then it just progressively got worse from there. We were kicked out of where we were living. We were living motel to motel room. There was a lot of just horrible, horrible things that happened. And there are things that I never wish on even like my worst enemies that have happened. Um, I've been shot at. I've been sexually assaulted repeatedly day after day. I've been forcibly confined. I was almost sold into human trafficking. Um, I was awake for days on end, just being the brunt of him not having any um, drugs or whatever he was addicted to. I was starved, kidnapped, just things I would never wish on anybody.
None, you're completely right. No one deserves to go through that, and I'm sitting and Emily, we went to high school together, right? And I can't imagine that you went through this, and I am so very sorry that you did. And I'm glad that you were able to get out of that, as I said, because you deserve so much better. Anybody deserves so much better than that. Now, at what at what point were you able to say enough was enough? When were you able to escape that situation?
It was the end of May, early June of 2020. Um, I just had had enough. I had realized that my life is more than these four walls of a motel room in the middle of nowhere. That I needed more out of my life. I needed to get back on my feet and start over. And it was hard. I will admit that. I deal with it every day. Um, I was in therapy 3 times a week for a year, with different counselors, therapists, psychotherapists. I've done many, many different group therapies. Um, just, it does get better.
So the support that you got for when you escaped, now was it a specific person that got you out, or was it you specifically that said it was enough or enough, or did you have some help doing that?
So it's a combination of all of it. I started since I was in the mental health unit almost all of April 2020. I did have an outreach worker through there who helped me initially start like with my medications and stuff like that, due to the mental health things that I endured. And then I started becoming more aware of my situation. I started talking to more friends, more family about what was going on. And when he found out, it got worse, and that's when I got out. So like it's just a combination of all of the things because like it takes more than one step in different directions to make sure that you can safely get out. Um, it's not like some people, yes, can just call somebody and they'll come pick them up. But in my situation, I needed to have XYZ in place because of the people he knew, because of the things he could do. And it was just a very highly risky situation.
Honestly, I'm just at a loss for words that you had to go through this, and I'm so very sorry. But again, I'm just so glad that you were able to get out, get the help you needed from the hospital and the mental health. Now, but when we were also talking, you were stating that the justice system did fail you. In what ways did it fail you, and how could you make suggestions to improve those issues?
So it failed me because when I was in the optimism place, which is a shelter for like a women's shelter, I was told I went through all the paperwork, all of the forms you need to fill out. I was told that I was going to be contacted by the domestic violence detective, and they never called me. And every time I called, it was, oh yeah, we'll call you back. We'll call you back. They never called me back. So I had been living, had no court orders. I don't have peace bonds or restraining orders, whatever they're called in Canada. I don't have any of that. He has never been brought to justice. He continues to live his day-to-day life like nothing ever happened.
Now, if we were to able to get some sort of police intervention, is there any way that you have evidence against this person to be able to put forward to bring charges?
Now, honestly, I'm not sure. I do still have like police reports and stuff like that from when I got out. I do somewhere possibly have the actual evidence of some of the horrible things he was doing to me and screaming at me and that. But honestly, now I'm at a point in my life where instead of digging up the past, I would honestly just like an apology from him. He has apologized to everybody in my life but me.
So at this point, what you're trying to do is just raise awareness about these issues and hoping that he hears this and puts forth an apology, at least an apology that he owes you.
Yeah, and like at least the apology. Unfortunately, I still am legally married to him, so divorce papers would be great too, but I'm not holding hope for those.
Well, we can only do one thing at a time, and hopefully that comes for you. Now, now, I know you're still coping with all of this, but in what ways have you coped with it? And I know that you're still going through it, but ha- I know you're obviously better than what you were. How did you get from there to where you are now with what you had available?
um, Time, reflection, therapy, um, going to places like the CMHA, becoming a member with them, doing a lot of like therapy really helps. I can't stress going to therapy, even if you don't think you need it, go. Like the things I learned about, like there's one group therapy that I went to, and I honestly dicked around. I didn't think it was worth it, but now looking back, I wish I would have paid more attention. Thankfully, I still have all the work and all the stuff that I can re-go through, but it honestly helped me so much, and it has helped me realize that I am not alone.
That's the one thing people need to know is that they're not alone and that there's other people going through it. So that be the first thing you would get someone to do if someone were to come to ask you for help is take them to a group therapy session?
That, or depending on the situation, I would give them the numbers that you can call. I will send those over to you for the supports to get on the list because, like everything, there is lists. There's a waiting list to get the ball in motion because I honestly was going through all of this in the height of COVID. So everything was shut down, everything was online. So it wasn't as hard.
Right. So because of COVID, it kind of made it easier in a way because it was online.
If I could do all of the groups over again, I wish I could have done them in person.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. And now, would you think that more adequate services and recovery houses like the Emily Murphy Center be helpful to people in similar situations to yourself?
So the Emily Murphy Center is more of a transitional house. So you would go to a place like Optimism Place, or there's a place in Godrich, I believe, and then you would fill out your housing application, like your geared to income housing application, and you would specify that you would like the Emily Murphy Center. So it's not like you can just go from one to the other.
Okay, so
So
you have to sign up for it type of thing?
yes.
Okay.
And so like right now, the housing list I believe is about 2 to 4 years long, and that's just for a single person. That's not for families. That's not for anything. So when I was in the Optimism place, I was there for 8 weeks, which is what they give you is 8 weeks. And then even you do have like special priority because you will be considered homeless, you are in a domestic violence situation, stuff like that. So that puts your name higher up on the list. But then again, you're waiting for people to leave these places. So I got my call for the Emily Murphy Center almost a year and a half later.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it's not like you can just go from one to the other now. It's you literally have to you have to know people. And I had to couch surf and I got myself into horrible situations and just it was bad. It's just horrible. Like the way the system is now is so flawed and so just not good for anybody. Because another thing is too, like to get onto so from coming from my situation, I had nothing. I had no job, no social assistance, nothing. So when I got into the optimism place, that's when I had to sign up for Ontario Works. But for Ontario Works, you need to have an address.
Right.
So you, for those 8 weeks, yes, you have an address. You can start having the pennies that they give you. But then after those 8 weeks, if you're homeless, you're on the streets and you don't have an address, you don't have any money. So you turn to either crime or back into drugs or whatever it is because there's nothing else.
So if we had more of these buildings that people could go to and less of a wait time because there would be more of these buildings, would that be an improvement and a better staff to allocate all these individuals?
Yes, but there's also like since COVID, what I've noticed is there's even wait times to get into places like the Optimism place. They just recently expanded, so hopefully that's not the case anymore, but it's just hard because like I know when I was getting out of the Optimism place, I almost went back because I had nowhere to go.
Basically, right now, they're kind of a last resort, and then it's only for, like, an 8-week period, and then you're kinda screwed after that until you can kinda get back on your feet type thing, right?
Unless you have friends, family, or some other type of support that you can get help through.
With all this being said, how do you think continue raising the awareness of the impact of addiction, domestic violence, human trafficking, and the inadequacies of our justice system that govern these activities? How do you think that helps with what's going on? What do you hope to accomplish?
I hope to accomplish more awareness, and it's not only for like women and children. We do in the Perth County area need supports for men as well, which a lot of people don't understand that it's not just women and children. I know with places like Choices for Change, which is a great addiction service. If you're struggling with addiction, they will support you in ways like in great ways. There are also local meetings of like NA and AA. I never was in NA or AA, so I can't speak on how well those help people. I just think there needs to like we need to end the stigma of mental health and of domestic violence and just need to come to terms with that it's a real thing, that it's not just something that you see on like TV or hear about, in a different city, that it does happen in our own backyards.
Oh, absolutely. It absolutely does. We had went to high school together, and obviously we had lost touch over the years, but I couldn't imagine, could not imagine this would be the life that, or the situation that you had to go through. And and that's I don't know if it was just ignorance of what was going on, but you're right. It absolutely does happen in this world, even in our own backyard. And it's up to us to raise that awareness and make it hopefully positive changes in the systems that are supposed to be helping us. And speaking of positive changes, what positive changes would you envision regarding these issues?
More funding. We do need to I do have friends in the geared to income community. We need better funding for those places. A lot of them are run down. Some of them have cockroaches, mold. It's bad. The city, in my personal opinion, needs to stop spending so much on tourism and start spending it on the people that actually live, work, and reside in Stratford. The people that do need help, not just the people that are coming to spend money.
Right. I completely agree with that, but unfortunately, city council may not have that same, you know, mindset. But again, it is up to us to change that mindset because this is such an important issue between domestic violence, addiction, especially addiction. There's more homeless people on Stratford streets than I've seen in years. It breaks my heart that is Stratford of all places. There's tents over down by the bus station because they have nowhere else to go.
Well, and that's just the visible tent community. I know of several others in Stratford that are more hidden, more away from that kind of thing because they don't want the scrutiny from, the average person because the average person doesn't understand.
That's completely right. I know some that are out on the outskirts of town, out by the train tracks, and that is also very dangerous area because of where they are and the trains there that go by. And I know through speaking with some of them that they have their own internal issues as well. Like they don't want to be near some group of people and they just cause a bunch of issues and they just try and stay away from that as best as they can as well, even though they're trying to just live the life the best they can at that current time. It's just it's just a little ridiculous that again Stratford of all places has this type of situation and it's just gotten worse over the years.
And I like with being like I lived in good to income housing with a friend on his couch, thankfully. But it's the drug problem has skyrocketed. Just drugs that have gotten worse. It's a lot of methamphetamine, a lot of fentanyl, a lot of carfentanil, and it's dangerous. I've known people that have died from it. It's sad. I know people that have gone to rehab and spent tens of thousands of dollars on rehab and have come back to Stratford and relapsed because it was easier for them to relapse than get the methadone and the things that they need to stay sober.
So it all just basically boils down to addiction and the lack of funding and resources to be able to help these people out in most ways.
Yeah, because the only service I know in Stratford that really deals with addiction is Choices for Change.
And Choices for Change,
And
this is a program that people can go to by themselves. Do they have to sign up, or what? How did you get in touch with them?
I was in I have never been involved with Choices for Change. When I was in high school, I went to a program. It was called COPE. Um, Now I believe it's called SWAC. I could be wrong. But we had a gentleman come in and actually talk about Choices for Change. And I know one of my close friends is involved with them, and she goes for counseling. And they do have certain like meetings you can go to, and all of that kind of stuff. So they do have those kind of supports there.
With the Choices for Change, are they also trying to raise awareness alongside with the issues, or can people go to them as well, or how can others contribute to raise awareness for these tragic situations?
A lot of these are government funded, but you can like donate. Like the Connection Center, I know they're always looking for like stuff for the homeless. So if like blankets, socks, shoes, clothing, non-perishable food items, again, like with the House of Blessing, you can donate there as well. It's just going online, finding these places like Choices for Change. I believe ShelterLink helps youth going on, supporting these places, seeing what they need, seeing how you personally can help. And if not, even just sharing their Facebook post can do a lot of greater good. Like, do more good than you think it can.
Because if someone at least shares a post, it makes them think that yes, someone is actually reading and listening to what I'm saying.
Yes, because like social media now, anything can go viral, right? So, like, Choices is a big safe space. Like, on their Facebook page right now, it says Choices for Change, alcohol, drug, and gambling counseling center. So there are like addiction supports, mental health supports, supportive housing. That I'm unsure of what that means, but there's just a bunch. I know when I was working with the CMHA, so the Canadian Mental Health Association, there are supports there as well. Like they do get funding um, for different like housing initiatives. So if you can find a place and say like your ODSP or your Ontario Works does not cover it, there is a fund that you can apply for that will help subsidize the extra income you need for like rentals or heat and hydro or any of that.
Okay, that's perfect. So there is some sort of government support available.
Yeah, it's just with the economy right now and everything, it's just harder to get. And these funds only have so much and can only help so many people. So if we were able to somehow like put more money into those funds to help people.
That's completely right. If we can get some more funding and get some money into these facilities, it would greatly help out a lot. We're almost coming to the end of our session here. I was just wondering, and I'm sure others would be wondering, would other survivors and trauma victims be able to contact you for support, or is there a safe place that you could contact them type thing? Or is there a group on Facebook that you belong to that advocate for these individuals so people can reach out to you, you know, if you're comfortable with that. If not, then absolutely that's okay as well.
People can reach out to me personally through Facebook. I don't have like an Instagram or any of that, but they can reach out Facebook. They can email me. I have no problem talking to people, helping them, supporting them, getting them in touch with the people they need to be in touch with to help them either get out of that situation or continue on the path to recovery or just talk about, if they're struggling and they need an ear for to talk to somebody they don't know that's not in their situation and just be that person because sometimes that's all you need is that one person that doesn't know you just to be like, hey, you're being crazy, or hey, no, that's not okay.
Thank you so much. And I'm sure that whoever is listening will be able to get your information, contact you with whenever they feel comfortable as well. So once you send me all the information for the resources and support that you have there, feel free to send your email as well. I'll put it up with the podcast, and then hopefully we'll have some individuals contact you for some support. So that way, again, no one feels alone.
Exactly. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you, Emily, and we'll talk soon. Thank you so much. And that was trauma survivor Emily Montgomery, everybody. Please find her on Facebook, comment on the podcast, give her a big, big thank you for coming out and sharing her story. All links to her support and resources will be available. Until next time, this has been Tim with Living Vicariously, Part 1 of the Trauma That Binds series. If you have an experience that you'd like to speak out about, contact me at redscriptnarration@gmail.com. Next, on the Trauma That Binds series, for part 2, we'll have Dominique Easton and her story of Aislinn and how she was murdered by her father. This has been Living Vicariously, Episode 3, Part 1 of the Trauma That Binds series, a Red Script Studio production. Production copyright 2024 by T. Douglas of Red Script Studios.